Hey guys, Travis here with Muffinqt at Maui Wowie Hawaiian Smoothies in Dallas, Texas. I just want to ask you a few questions about that last game. What do you think of that intro?
It was pretty dumb. I don't I don't know. It was pretty dumb.
So you just beat Dignitas apparently. That's a thing that happened.
Apparently?
Yeah. Somehow.
Somehow, by the grace of God.
Well, I know you play a lot of like Dota and Amnesia and stuff, so I don't know how much you practice.
Nah, I don't really play League of Legends anymore. It's all just Dota, and then I just try to translate those skills over. I keep yelling at my team like to come do Roshan, and they're just not there, so I don't know what's going on.
All right, no, you play a lot of League of Legends, you practice it, you love it, it's great. Let's talk about how you beat Dignitas. Was it just picks, or like I heard Dig when they walked out, they were talking about like, oh, we knew what they were gonna pick, and they picked this, and maybe we should have done something different. What happened?
Well, before the game even started, they had told us that they thought they were blue side. Like behind the stage when we were walking up, we were discussing what booth, which team was going to go to, and they were like, "No, we're in the blue side booth," and we're like, "Well, we're blue side, so I don't know what you're talking about." Apparently, they thought they were blue side, like 4 of them did, except for Kiwi. Kiwi was trying to tell them they were purple, but and then Scar was like, "Well, our strategy might be a little funky then," and if they knew that we were going to pick, I mean, we did pick all the things we usually do pick, so I mean, that's not unusual for us, but yeah.
So going into that game, it seemed like extremely close for a long time. A very long game, especially with the pause. By the way, do you know what the pause was about?
Yeah. My computer, actually, the first pause that happened, I think around the 15, 18-minute mark, my computer froze for a second while we were at the Dragon. And it was only for about 3 or 4 seconds, but we paused during that. And then they said that if it happens again, we can swap out the computer. But I was like, okay, we can just go for it, see what happens. It went fine for a little while until we got into about mid-late game, and then it happened again around Baron, and I said we should swap out the computer, and that's what the more elongated pause was for. I think it was around like 10, 12 minutes that they had to swap out the computer and reconnect it to the network and make sure everything was stable.
All right, so did that, whenever you get that big pause, is that something that you guys sort of stresses you out, or does it add something to it? What happens there?
Yeah, LCS rules actually have that during the pauses you can't talk about strategy inside the game. You can't really discuss too much about the game, or else you can get like a penalty for it, or something like that. And if you do it consistently, then you could forfeit the match. Right. So we couldn't really talk about the game, and it's really bad for me considering I was the one who couldn't be looking at the game. Yeah. I was in a spot where I could get caught off. I was de-warding Baron with Oracles, and I couldn't really see the game because I was swapping out the computers. And we couldn't really discuss what was happening. So when I came back in, I was like, okay, I have to remember everything that I was doing 12 minutes ago. It's really hard on both teams, but me especially because I couldn't even see the game anymore.
That game, like, when it goes so long, are you guys just still sitting there calculating the entire time, or is it something where you have to really just think ahead of what's going to happen? Whenever Dignitas, are you sitting there like, okay, we're just going to take this cool and calm, do this sort of poke thing outside their base, or how do you guys play that out?
Yeah, after pauses, it's really kind of hard for both teams because both teams kind of like, it's not fresh in their mind what was just happening. You try to keep your mind on the game of what was just happening, and that's what we were trying to focus on. I kept hearing Cloud say, all right, everybody just keep taking notes in your head about what's happening right now, and once this pause ends, we can all just bounce information off each other, and we can get back into the flow of the game.
So at what point in time did you feel like you had the game? Because you guys were sort of outside their base. I saw we were all sitting in the crowd laughing about Xmithy charging in his Nasus and like almost dying, but then that seemed to work out okay. Like, did you guys go Xmithy, go initiate as Nasus, or what? How does that work out at the end?
Yes, typically Smithy's kind of a dog on a leash that gets away from us, and he just
no pun intended, right?
Yeah, no pun intended. He kind of gets away from us sometimes in games, and that can cause us to lose some games. Yeah. But everything that he did that game was intended. Everything that he did was called out and deliberate from us. But the moment that I think that I kind of knew we won the game, well, I mean, when the Nexus exploded, but I think it was when I think it was the second, possibly even third Baron. I don't think we got that many Barons, but the last Baron that we got, I was like, okay, now all we need to do is get all 3 of the inhibitors, and this is fine. Like, that's just enough pressure for any team. They can't hold that no matter what, and all we have to do is not lose a fight, and then we're set.
Do you have any shout-outs or plugs you want to do?
Yeah, I want to give a shout-out to our owners, Ali and Murdy, and then our new sponsor, NOS. They hooked us up some sweet gear this weekend, and a nice new jacket, and I got 2 other jackets back at the hotel, and they're going to be hooking us up with a lot of NOS so we can play a whole lot of League.
Just NOS-powered, Vulcan. Last question. Before we started this interview, you and I made a bet, $5, that I would mispronounce Maui Wowie Hawaiian
See, you
smoothies
just
at
messed
the
it up.
start
Yeah.
of the interview.
Yeah.
And I actually nailed it. So I'm wondering, are you going to pay up right now? That's my question.
Well, did you hear about my $400 bet that I lost?
No, I did not hear about this.
Okay, well, if you want me to tell that story, then I'm definitely going to pay you.
As long as it's legal.
It's totally. So, I have a tendency to bet on Dignitas and stupid things that Dignitas will do. And 2 weeks ago in LCS, the day before we started playing, we were scrimming against Dignitas. And the next day, I made a $200 bet with Benny and the exact same $200 bet with ManCloud on whether or not Cutie Pie said a single word in one of our scrims. And it was during a pause, and Cutie Pie had said, "Don't worry, he's just being a baby." Yeah. And I had bet $400 that he said, "Don't worry, he's just having a baby." And I lost, and I paid $400 to Cloud and Benny. So I'll pay you $5 for pronouncing Maui Wowie Hawaiian smoothies.
All right, well, I just want to say thanks a ton for the interview. Very much appreciate it. I always say thanks a ton. So in fact, last question. What should I say instead of thanks a ton for the interview at the end of my interviews now? Because people call me out for it.
I don't even know.
See, this is the problem I have.
Thanks a ton works.
I really appreciate the interview, Muffinqt.
There you go.
Really looking forward to seeing you guys play later this week.
Yep.
For everyone, you can check out the rest of our MLG Dallas Day 3 coverage and the rest of our MLG Dallas coverage at GameSpot.com/esports.